Hello YouTube, Breakup Brad here. Welcome to my latest video, which is actually by popular request, and that is how to get your ex back if you still live together. Now, many of you have been asking me to make a video on this topic in the comments on my previous videos, and it's also a common question that I get asked by my coaching clients. So if you've broken up with your ex and you still live with them, and you're hoping to get a second chance and a fresh start with them, keep watching. Now, before we begin, let me share a couple of facts about this kind of situation. Fact number one, living with your ex after breaking up usually complicates things and can make getting back together more difficult. Now, this is because you won't have the opportunity to employ a full, proper period of no contact because you'll likely have to see and speak to your ex regularly when you cross paths at home. As I'll explain later in the video, there are ways to deal with this, but it does usually make things more challenging. Fact number two, although living together after the breakup makes things more complicated, it also offers you a unique opportunity that you wouldn't have if you didn't still live with your ex. While no contact is a key aspect of getting your ex back in 95% or more of all breakups, the fact that you still run into your ex at home allows you the chance to upend their expectations and to demonstrate that you're not needy or heartbroken, but rather, you're still an amazing catch with plenty to offer your ex if they were to change their mind about breaking up. So, living with your ex after the breakup is both a complication that can make things more challenging, but it also offers some opportunities that can actually help your cause and help you reattract your ex. Now, a lot of people struggle with this, and you may still have questions or need more help with a particularly unique or unusual situation you're facing, even after you watch this whole video. And if that is the case for you, please visit breakupbrad.com/coaching and consider signing up for a month of my personal coaching service. I promise it's way more affordable than you think, and we can work together to come up with a plan that will maximize your chances of getting your ex back. Now, back to the topic at hand here. If you've watched any of my previous videos here on YouTube, or if you've signed up for my best-selling X Factor program, then you'll know that I almost always advocate a period of no contact after the breakup. Now, I've worked with over 100,000 clients in my 13 plus years as a breakup coach, and I've seen over and over again how effective and critical a period of no contact is. If you want your ex back, no contact is almost always going to be the most important first step you can take. I usually advocate around 30 days of radio silence, but you can watch some of my previous no contact videos, which I'll link to in the description below, for more information on how to use no contact properly and for how long. But for the purposes of this video, you're probably wondering, can I still use no contact if we live together? How would that work? Well, in short, yes, you can and should use no contact to some degree, even if you still live with your ex or have to see them daily. It'll need to be modified slightly since you're still going to run into them regularly at home, which is why I call this limited no contact. If you still need to see your ex daily for whatever reason, the first and most important thing you need to do is avoid showing your emotions around your ex. The last thing you want to be doing when you're with your ex is to get emotional, break down in tears or lash out at them in anger. If you are feeling overly emotional, try and get out of the house and hang out with friends while you get through the worst of the initial heartache. Generally, just do your absolute best to avoid showing any kind of negative emotions when you're around your ex. Just be positive and upbeat, not depressed or upset. Another thing that you must avoid is confrontation with your ex. So do not let yourself get dragged into any kind of argument or shouting match with your ex. It might be tempting at times, and your ex might even try to start something, but you definitely want to stay out of that kind of situation and avoid any kind of argument or negative interaction. Similarly, you also want to avoid any kind of, serious discussions with your ex. So don't talk about the breakup, your relationship, your future together, and so on. This is just not the time to be having those kinds of serious talks with your ex. All those are going to do is remind your ex of the problems in your past relationship and the reasons why they wanted to break up in the first place. So those are all the things you want to avoid talking with your ex about. But because you still want to get the benefit of using the no contact strategy, you'll ideally want to get out of the house as much as possible and limit any conversations with your ex to essential topics only during the 30 days or so when you're engaged in limited no contact. Now, don't completely change your routine just to avoid running into your ex. That would look suspicious too. So just stay busy and try to avoid being at home with your ex around whenever possible. Again, keep those essential conversations friendly, non-confrontational, and positive. And basically only engage where you really need to. It's also, usually wise to avoid making any commitments in regards to moving out or finding a new place to live if you can do so without angering your ex. Sometimes, your ex may want to move out of the house quickly, and you should let them do so without putting up a fight. Just again, be positive and supportive if you need to be, and don't fuss over it if your ex seems insistent. Remember, after a breakup, your ex is going to expect you to be heartbroken and desperate. After being dumped, most people get depressed and make major changes to their life and their daily habits. They'll lie in bed all day, become cold and distant around their ex, and stop doing the things that they used to do with their ex during the relationship. Again, this is what your ex is expecting from you. So you really want to do the exact opposite, especially when you're employing no contact. Upending your ex's expectations by not lying around in bed all day, by continuing to watch that TV show that you and your ex used to watch together every night, by going out regularly and seeing your friends, continuing with your hobbies and so on. This is all going to make your ex question their decision to break up and create some mystery in the back of their mind. It's human nature to feel, FOMO or fear of missing out, and you can capitalize on that by making sure that your ex knows you're continuing to live a fun, interesting life even when they least expect it. Along similar lines, you want to use these times that you run into your ex at the house to showcase your awesomeness. Now, I know this sounds a bit abstract, but think of it this way. Your ex had and has reasons why they want to no longer be together. And maybe they've grown frustrated by certain actions or behaviors you made during your time together. Maybe you became too needy and clingy. Maybe you were overly jealous and controlling. Or maybe you just drifted apart over time and no longer share much in common. Or even more likely, it was a combination of these different things that led to your ex deciding that you no longer had a future together as a couple. Now, what this means is that your ex sees you, thinks of you in this way. They think of you as that needy, controlling, jealous, distant person that they broke up with. And when they think of you and your potential future together, they see more negatives than positives. They've essentially forgotten about the things that made them fall for you in the first place. And they expect you to continue being that person that they broke up with. And all of this means one thing. You want to prove them wrong. So when you see your ex at home, when you bump into them in the kitchen or wherever, you want to subtly and slowly show them that you're not actually that person they broke up with, but instead you're still the person that they first fell in love with during your early days together. You want to demonstrate your positive qualities, avoid making the same mistakes or doing the same things that led to your breakup and their loss of attraction, and basically just show them that they were wrong about you and that you can still be an amazing catch that will make them happy and offer a loving, healthy future relationship if they were to give you a second chance. Now, obviously, this is easier to do when it comes to things like neediness or jealousy. You can simply ensure that you never do those things from now on. So when your ex has a friend out of the opposite sex over to hang out, well, instead of reacting jealously or cold or resentful about it, you can be super friendly and act like it's no big deal and that you have no problem with it. Or as another example, if you suspect your ex lost attraction for you partly because you had no ambition or drive in life, because you dropped out of school, procrastinated taking up fun hobbies or activities, and generally spent too much time lounging on the couch playing video games. Well, in that kind of case, obviously you can show your ex that this isn't the case by doing the opposite. So, sign up for a night class at a local college, register for that rock climbing course down the street and start going regularly, make a new friend and invite them over, plan and book a trip to Thailand next winter. Whatever it is, again, the key here is to make sure that you do the opposite of whatever things led to your breakup and your ex's loss of attraction. Don't worry too much about making these changes known to your ex. Through the course of small talk when you run into them at home, and when they notice you, coming and going, etc., they'll figure it out on their own and they will take notice. And as I mentioned before, this might sound abstract and implausible right now, but I promise that this can be an extremely effective way to change how your ex feels about you and begin to make them attracted to you again. Now, we already talked about how living with your ex offers some unique advantages. And one of them is the ability to drop subtle hints that will leave your ex wondering, what's going on and what you're up to. Essentially, you want to create a sense of mystery for your ex. Now, you have to be careful not to make this too obvious because it can backfire if you take this strategy too far or execute it clumsily, but it definitely does work when you do it properly. Basically, what you want to do is make some sort of comment when you're talking to your ex or when you know that they can hear you that hints at a date you're going on or someone special that you've met recently. For example, maybe your ex is standing within earshot when you're talking to another friend on the phone. You might say something like, thanks for the invite, that sounds awesome, but I'm actually taking my friend Jess to that music festival this weekend. Sorry. Now, the key is to avoid giving any more details or making it into a big deal. Just casually and subtly mention something that you're doing with a new friend in order to plant the idea in your ex's mind and let them spend, the rest of the day wondering who that friend is and whether it's a date you're going on. Basically, just let your ex's imagination create some jealousy and shift their overall perception of you. Like I said before, this is going to also upend your ex's expectations, as we've already discussed. Now, this can even work when you're even more vague. For instance, you could just mention in passing when chatting with your ex that you'll be, gone next weekend on a trip with some friends. And the less detail you share with your ex, the more they'll be left wondering what you're up to and why you wouldn't share more details or invite them. Now, you're really tapping into the human FOMO instinct, and your ex will often let their mind wander and start wondering if your, big weekend plans involve, an orgy or a party on a private yacht. And again, the less you tell them and the more vague and casual you are when dropping the hint, the more it'll make your ex feel like they're missing out and wonder what you're up to. And believe it or not, this can really make a huge difference to how your ex thinks about you and how attracted they are to you. Of course, as I already mentioned, this is a potentially dangerous tactic that can get you into trouble if you're not careful. So make sure you actually at least have plans to go to a music festival next weekend, for example, so that you don't get caught trying to incite jealousy or look like an idiot for making something up just because your ex could hear you. Just generally avoid getting caught lying or exaggerating things by being subtle and nonchalant about it. And when you do get this right, it can be extremely powerful and really make your ex doubt whether they should have let you go at all. All right, hopefully the tips that I've shared with you in this video give you a good plan of action to get your ex back in your arms, even when you're still living together. But of course, I do realize this type of situation can get very complicated and confusing, and you might want further guidance to make sure that you get things right and you do get your ex back. So if you're facing this kind of, particularly unique scenario with your ex, or you have any more questions that I didn't cover in this video, sign up for my one-on-one coaching so I can learn more about your specific situation in detail and help you reattract your ex and get them back for good. You can learn all about my coaching and sign up to begin working with me immediately at breakupbrad.com/coaching. And of course, for quick or simple questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking that like button to show your support. I really appreciate it. That's it for this video, guys. Good luck out there, and I will see you soon.